Hello, my name is Cliff Godwin. I'm responsible for eBusiness Suite development at Oracle. And today I want to talk to you about some things we're doing in eBusiness Suite to improve the operational characteristics of the system. In particular, we want to talk about things that we're doing to improve the patching characteristics, to leverage the latest technology stack, and to give you some better testing tools to work with, which will improve the economics of owning and operating eBusiness Suite. So let's turn first to online patching. So online patching is really the signature feature of our 12.2 release. And what that means is that users can continue to use the system while applications DBAs are applying patches. And then once all the patches are ready in what we call an edition that's isolated from the existing running system, you can just simply bring the system down, bring the system back up, pointing at that new patched version, and the users will experience the new patched application. So the total outage time is reduced from the hours that it might have taken to apply the patches where they had to be off the system to about the 20-minute, typically 20 or 30-minute type of window that's involved in just restarting the system. So that is a huge advantage for businesses like manufacturers, people that provide field service, and people with international operations who have users all over the world where there's never a convenient time to have an outage. Rather than having like a multi-hour outage or an 8-hour outage or a 24-hour outage, you could have a 20-minute outage. That's a huge issue for many businesses, and if it's organizations, and if it's a huge issue in your environment, online patching is a big deal for you. It may well drive the value of going to the 12.2 release. So a little bit of detail behind what's going on here. So what we are doing in online patching is maintaining in the database a stripe on much of the information that the database stores about the applications. So in particular, there's essentially a version of the PL SQL code that is the one you're running on, and there could be a new version, which is the one that is your patch edition, the version that is to be of the PL SQL code. Similarly, you can have changes to the shape of tables, schema evolution. You can actually do changes to the data itself, and have all of those things be done in ways which are hidden from the running application and are associated with what's called a different database edition. And it's in the process of bringing the system down and back up again, all the middle tiers are reinitialized to point at that new patched edition, so the users experience that as the patched system in just the time it takes to do that outage. So the patch window now consists of a phase where you create a new edition and then apply the patches, which then are going only into that new edition. Then you do what we call finalize, which means things like compile a PL SQL and gather statistics, basically get everything ready to go. And then you wait for a good time to take this brief outage. You then take the outage to just do the restart, pointing at the patched edition. And then once you're up and live on the patched edition, you have a cleanup phase where you delete the objects that are no longer needed because they relate to a prior edition. So that's what the patching cycle is now, and the only time that users are off the system is in what we call the cutover phase. Previously, they would have been off during the entire apply phase, which could scale with the complexity of the patch you're applying. Now, the patch application process has more steps in it now, and we've made sure that we provide good automation for handling that patching lifecycle as part of our Enterprise Manager suite, and then particularly the Application Management Pack for eBusiness Suite that's part of Enterprise Manager is where we focus on building the automation that will help you leverage this mechanism. Now, the next thing I wanted to make sure you understand about the 12.2 release in particular is that we are leveraging the latest technology stack. So here we have adopted the WebLogic version of the middleware components that comes with Fusion Middleware 11. So you will configure that, you will load balance with that using the facilities that many more people are familiar with the facilities that support that version of the middleware than was true in the prior 10G version that was based on the OC4J application server. In addition, there are some component changes that you must uptake that were optional to uptake. They work with 12.1, but you must uptake them at the 12.2 level. So Oracle Access Manager If you are on the older Oracle portal technology, you have to be on the new Web Center portal. At a minimum, you have to be on the database 11GR2, and whereas in 12.1 and earlier you had the option of running on a 32-bit operating system on Windows and Linux, with the 12.2 release you have to be on the 64-bit operating system level for Windows and Linux. So there are some technology changes that may be different in your environment because you may have already adopted these other technologies at the later release level around your 12.1, but if you didn't and you've been holding back, you really have to do all those as part of going to 12.2. Now let me shift gears and talk a little bit about testing technology. So we have a testing suite at Oracle called Oracle Application Testing Suite, and it has three parts: functional testing, load testing, and test management capabilities. So we're talking now about the functional testing that does essentially regression testing to see whether a flow produces the expected results in the application. Within that, the traditional way that this and other testing tools have always worked is that you record a flow through the applications and then play it back. So you record it, it produces a script, and a set of expected results. You then re-execute that script and see whether the results that you get match the expected results. So that's how things have always worked. What's new is we have introduced a capability that we call Flow Builder, which is a test script generation strategy. So it's really keyword-based test script generation. So you can have a command like create a purchase order header with certain values, create a purchase order line with certain values, and you can list these commands out. Approve a purchase order with a certain purchase order header number. You can specify a test at that higher level by stringing those commands together, and it will generate a working test script for you. So the advantage of that is that you can handle many more flows, many more permutations of test flows through the system when it's specified at that higher level. And you can also drive those set of scripts through a spreadsheet of data conditions. So with that approach, you can handle many more variations, many more permutations of testing, and maintain those. If something changes with this generation strategy, you just change the component and how it generates that particular piece of the test, then you can regenerate your test suite as opposed to having to re-record every permutation going back through the system. So what we found when we built our 12.2 tests this way, we invented this as part of the Business Suite testing group and for the use of testing 12.2, we found we got about a 60% productivity improvement, which you could interpret as either spend the same amount of money and get 60% more test coverage, or for the test coverage you want, spend 60% less money. But roughly, that's what we're talking about, at least what we experienced in eBusiness Suite. So I would encourage you to take a look at this more advanced tool capability for your eBusiness Suite testing strategy. You can both test more or test more cheaply and take whatever mix of that makes sense for your business. So we have delivered with the starter pack that comes with this thousands of these components, which are these keyword generation capabilities for individual objects in the system, as well as over 200 flows that we use to test the core of eBusiness Suite. And then in addition to that core, what we call starter pack, we've produced a more advanced set of capabilities that give you a much higher level of test coverage. So if you're really focused in a particular area, this advanced pack may be valuable to you because you can get the test content that applies to an area that you want to test in great detail or that wasn't covered in the starter pack. So I'd encourage you to take a look at the testing tools in terms of the value that represents for your ongoing ownership of eBusiness Suite. Encourage you to think about the value that online patching represents for your organization, and that will be a significant part of the value of being on 12.2, and appropriately plan for the technology stack changes that come with 12.2. So with that, let me thank you very much.